Multiple winter storms are on the way to start December. We got one ongoing right now. We got another on the way that we need to figure out for this week. And then we got another potential winter storm starting to show up for the end of this week into this weekend. And this could be for areas a little bit further south. We'll round the video off discussing a little bit deeper into the month of December and how the pattern will continue to support winter storm chances across areas of the country. So a lot to discuss. Utilize those timestamps. Jump ahead to whatever you need to listen to. My name is Mitch. Good Sunday morning. Hope you guys are doing well out there and have had a wonderful weekend. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So the ongoing winter storm is moving further east. We had a good old-fashioned snowstorm across areas in the Midwest yesterday. Drop it in the comments how much snow your neck of the woods got. I would love to know, even though I'm a little jealous here in central South Carolina, but still, big winter weather fan. I've certainly enjoyed tracking this storm for you guys, but the leftovers of this winter storm is moving into the northeast. Not a high impact event, but it does look like a lot of snow is overspreading areas of New England. So let me know what you're seeing out there. A little bit of a wintry mix in the favorite areas of the Appalachian Mountains, a little bit further south. Some lingering light snow across areas of the plains, but you see this area of energy right here? This is our next winter storm we need to figure out. And we're about to get very heavy with the details on this. This will combine with a little bit of energy to the south and have the potential to turn into a much more significant winter storm as all of this energy moves east. So this is right now. Let's move past this. Let's look at the latest NAM, and I think the NAM does a great job trying to figure out a warm nose, and I think there's going to be one heck of a warm nose with this storm system, especially as it gets closer to the eastern seaboard. So let's go over all the information. Just a quick reminder, this is in Eastern time, so if you're in Central, back it up an hour. I don't think there's any way to change this as of now. I'm just getting used to this site, but right now, this is for around 2 p.m. Central time this afternoon. So remember, just back it up an hour if you're in Central time. Let's get this in motion. A little bit of snow making its way across areas of the Rockies, and that matches up with the radar right now pretty well. But as we continue to move, say, into tonight, and let's take it all the way into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, we got an area of light to moderate snow breaking out across the plains. This is Nebraska, northern areas of Kansas. A little bit of a wintry mix. You see the purple and pink showing up. Purple's more so sleet on this output. The pink is freezing rain, but watch out around Lubbock, Amarillo. Wouldn't be surprised one bit we get a light wintry mix, but we continue to move forward and we take it all the way into daybreak tomorrow. This is around 7, 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Remember that timestamp is up here. Some snow moving across Omaha, Lincoln, once again, starting to move into Des Moines. It could stretch as far north as areas of South Dakota. But we continue to move forward and we take it to about... let's click this again. Let's take it to about midday tomorrow. This is around lunchtime tomorrow. And let's go on and shift this a little bit further east. Look at this wintry mix down here across areas of Oklahoma and Arkansas. This could be an icy mix. I wouldn't be surprised we get some winter weather advisories issued for this area if we haven't already. We might by the time some of you folks watch this video. But you know, there's sort of kind of a dry slot in this area right here. Missouri, northern Arkansas, areas of Kansas, and Oklahoma. But we got some heavy snow moving across areas of Topeka, Kansas City, the entire state of Iowa, northern areas of Missouri. And we continue to move forward here, and we get into tomorrow afternoon. We got more snow moving into areas that already has a ton of snow on the ground from the snowstorm that just moved through. So we got snow falling on top of snow up here in Milwaukee, Madison, Chicago, Peoria. What is this dry slot going to do? Is this going to fill in? And like I said, you know, we got the piece of energy in the Rockies right now. It's going to combine with a little bit of southern stream energy. And this is some beefed up moisture down here. But when does the dots connect? So you might get sort of dry slotted in areas of Springfield, you know, over to St. Louis. And I'm talking about Springfield, Missouri, but it could happen in Illinois too. But we continue to move this forward. This is around 4 to 5 o'clock. And I mean, snow's getting as far north as Green Bay on this run. And then this gap sort of begins to fill. But I want to stop it here. This is some freezing rain. It's late tomorrow night falling in Little Rock. I mean, it's even close to a wintry mix in Memphis, but up here in the northwestern areas of Tennessee, western Kentucky, the Boot Hill, Missouri, this is a solid icy wintry mix. So how significant will this be? It'll be something to watch. But this is solid snow on top of Chicago, sort of a kind of a miniature, a junior version of what you just got yesterday across Chicago, Peoria, and stuff like that. But as we continue to move forward, sort of this gap begins to fill in, and we start to get heavy snow in Indianapolis. And this is around 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, sort of a wintry mix. Let's get a little bit closer to this. Sort of a wintry mix from the Evansville, Louisville, Cincinnati corridor. Lexington showing freezing rain, a solid cold rain down here in Middle Tennessee. Let's make this a little bit larger again. Snowing as far north as the UP of Michigan again. So this thing really starts to get beefed up as it starts to get more moisture from the southern stream, really feeds into the system, begins to phase somewhat. And as you can tell, there is a freezing rain potential. I mean, it's not a potential, it's in the forecast for areas of the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. And this could add up to significant icing down here. Some areas could get over a 1/4 inch of freezing rain. And this is for around 1 to 2 o'clock Tuesday morning. A solid area of snowfall. This could be enough to pump out more winter storm warnings. I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be right on that criteria. And where you do start out as a wintry mix in Cincinnati, Louisville, by the time you get into late Monday night into Tuesday morning, could switch to all heavy snow if the NAM is correct. But it's snowing up here in Detroit, Cleveland, plenty cold enough. And all areas of the atmosphere for all snow. Indianapolis is still snowing. And then we continue to move forward. And look at this nasty, icy mix for Lynchburg. You know, you're going to have it in Roanoke, Charlottesville, western areas of Maryland. Just a nasty, wintry mix of freezing rain and sleet. I mean, freezing rain will be possible as far south as Asheville, Hendersonville, maybe even some favorite areas in northern Georgia. But it's snowing in Lexington now. So any kind of wintry mix begins to switch to snow. And I mean, look at this storm system. This is when it gets tough to figure out. And as we start to move into the northeast, you can see the warm nose. Switch it all heavy, cold rain in the D.C. Baltimore area. Harrisburg, sort of a wintry mix. Pittsburgh, it's all snow. So let's see if we can get that. A little bit of a warm nose right at the start of the system. Then it switches to all snow. Actually stays all snow on this model run. And we continue to move forward and we start to get it into Tuesday morning. And this is when our winter storm starts to move into the northeast. Now, on the latest NAM, it warm noses you guys in New York City, Boston. If you're thinking, Mitch, what do you mean by warm nose? Well, an area warm, air aloft, it just basically nukes the atmosphere and pretty much prevents any kind of winter weather from falling. It doesn't prevent any winter weather from falling, but in this case, it would be all rain because there's so much warm air at the surface too. With a 999 millibar low riding right up through the Tidewater and Delmarva, this is going to bring a lot of warm air aloft and to the surface in New York City. So this is just a soaking rain in New York City as we're getting into midday Tuesday. But right up the road, it is nuking snow. I mean, tons of snow. Boston, this would be all rain to at least start, but we can only get, it's about 60 hours worth of the NAM. But I can tell you, it looks like the snow line is actually inching further north. So the NAM is not showing much hope for snow for the I-95 corridor, but it is snowing very hard to the north. But I will tell you, if you look at the HRRR model and go all the way to 48 hours out, it looks very similar to the NAM. Doesn't look much different at all, honestly. But if we do look at the latest, say, let's go over the latest Euro. All right, it's a little bit colder when you compare it to the NAM, but I just think the NAM does a better job sniffing out the warm nose. The NAM gets a lot of heat. It gets a lot of criticism, and I'm to be the first one to criticize it. I'm more of an HRRR fan, her model fan, but the NAM has done really well in past winter storms, sniffing out that warm air aloft. What does the latest Euro show? All right, shows it starting out as all snow in DC. So solid wintry mix in northern VA and central and western Maryland. Starts out as all snow in New York City. It's a wintry mix, kind of more so snow if you're going 100% based off what the Euro is showing. And then we start to move into midday Tuesday, starting out as all snow. In Boston, you're right on that kind of mix line. Long Island, mainly all rain, unfortunately, for you winter weather fans. But it's snowing heavy in the Catskills, northern New Jersey, eastern PA, southern areas of New York. We got just a quick-moving snowstorm moving into areas of southern New England. And it is right on the line, New York City. It's almost like the northern suburbs of New York City getting snow. You get closer to the tip of Long Island here, and it's all rain. But this looks all snow in Boston, barely. This is getting to Tuesday evening, and it stays mainly all snow in Boston. Okay? So, what about for my friends up here in Atlantic Canada? Do want to show you guys some love here. And here comes the storm. All snow for just about all of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, etc. And then this thing gets really beefed up, turns into a sub 980 millibar low, and we could get an all-out blizzard in areas of Newfoundland. That is some heavy, heavy, heavy snow. Okay. So let's go over the forecast for snowfall totals. And we're gonna work our way from west to east. So jump ahead if you're like in New York, you're just like, dude, I only care about New York. I'll have a timestamp for the Northeast up for New York. But we're gonna start it from west to east. So Colorado, we're gonna get a few inches of snow over the next 24 hours in areas of Colorado. But once you get outside the Rockies and the plains of eastern Colorado, a trace to maybe as much as a half an inch. Denver, you could get as much as a half an inch. We'll see. And then we start moving into Nebraska. Southern areas of the state could certainly get a couple inches of snow, especially south of this interstate corridor here. Kearney, maybe as much as an inch. Omaha, maybe an inch or so. And I could see this increasing. Let's see if we got a new update here. We don't. It's the same. Well, actually, this is technically an hour more. But for the most part, guys, this is not going to be a big event. But I would watch on the northern edge of this precipitation shield. It could increase. And then we drop it down to Kansas. You didn't get much from this system, this last system in Kansas, but you get down to Manhattan, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow. Kansas City, 1 to 3 inches of snow is possible with this. Wichita, maybe, a trace to around an inch. A little bit of freezing rain is possible in this area too. Let's see if we can get this, but we don't have a good graphic up for this yet. So not forecasting anything right now. We jump it up to Iowa. Let's update this, see if we got some new information. I shouldn't have done that. Now it's going to take forever. All right, here it comes. All right, we're good. Yeah, and we got some new information. Des Moines, around an inch at most is possible. I could see that increasing, especially if the NAM is correct. We could get a few inches in Des Moines. So that's why we do 2 videos a day, to get you guys updated information. Davenport, half an inch to 3 inches. Burlington, 1 to 4 inches of snow is in the forecast for now. Remember, the further east we get, the more we work into areas where it's still snowing from the current winter storm. So it's going to combine both. So I just want you guys to remember that as we make our way forward. Now, Missouri, St. Louis, a half an inch to 2 inches of snow. Remember, this is kind of that gap area where it's cold enough for snow, but are we going to get enough moisture in this area? Kansas City, 1 to 3. Memphis, 1 to 3. Quincy, 1 to 4 inches of snow. And we drop it down into Arkansas. Northern areas of the state of Arkansas could get about an inch or less of snow. And then areas of Arkansas, as far as ice totals, maybe a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice to as much as a 1/10 of an inch of ice just outside of Little Rock down to Hot Springs. This is an area, and unfortunately, I don't have a more exploded view of this. For whatever reason, on their site in Little Rock, they just do not update things very well. They're an excellent National Weather Service office, but I have to always jump on X to get their graphics. So if it is kind of small on your screen for my folks here in Arkansas, I do apologize. But they have a nice discussion up on this, and we could get some notable ice totals out of this for sure. So let's continue to move forward. And I do want to show you areas of eastern Oklahoma. A trace of snow is possible. And listen, there is the potential for a little bit of snow in northern Arkansas. Harrison going for around a half an inch. So we'll watch for that. And then Illinois. All right, let's update this. See if we got any new updated information with this. I got to be careful updating this morning because the graphics are coming in very, very slow. And yeah, I think we done messed up that here. Let's see if we can go back. Let's just give it a minute. Let's go on and jump to Wisconsin, okay? So we're not going to update it anymore because it just does not like that this morning. So this is Wisconsin. Remember, it is still snowing in some of these areas this morning. So this is between midnight, overnight last night, through about 6 p.m. Tuesday. Another 2 to 3 inches of snow is possible in Milwaukee, Janesville, 2 to 4, Madison, 2 to 3. So we're watching southern areas once again of Wisconsin, but a little bit of snow is possible to likely. And this is combined with some lake effect snow, what's going on right now, and potentially what's to come in the UP of Michigan. So a few inches of snow is possible up there now. Man, what are you doing? Come on. It's just taking forever. We're just going to have to jump back to it. Let's show the rest of Michigan here. Okay, the northern areas of lower Michigan. Good for several inches of snow, but just remember this is combining what's going on right now. So it gets a little bit weird once we start to move into these eastern areas, but several inches of snow is possible. And this is just combining what's going on right now and what's to come. Now let's drop a little bit further south. Grand Rapids, 3 to 6 inches of snow between now and about 7 p.m. Tuesday. Lansing, 3 to 4. Flint, 2 to 4. Big Rapids, 3 to 5. Kalamazoo, 3 to 7. And then we drop it down into the Detroit area. Half an inch to 3 inches of snow between now and about 7 p.m. Tuesday. And this is combining what's still falling out there right now and what's on the way. Cairo, 5 to 8 inches of snow. Like I said, it's still snowing in these areas. Half an inch to 3 inches in Ann Arbor. Man, we just missed an epic snow game in Ann Arbor yesterday. Looks like the meat of the storm started to come in after the game. So let's see if we can see if this is showing up now. Yeah, this is just having trouble. You know what? We're going to do something for you guys because the graphics on this is just struggling. And we are going to move into this, and then let's show... Come on. Here we go, Illinois. And let's do this. So sorry about my folks in Illinois, guys. I don't know what's going on with that. But this is the latest forecast for snow in Illinois. I know it doesn't show towns and cities on this. But it looks like there's a stripe of accumulating snow on the way from this next system. Anywhere from 2 to as much as 4.5 inches of snow. Chicago going for 3 to 4 inches of snow. Peoria, it looks good for about 3 to 4 inches of snow. I'm having to guess where all these towns are and stuff like that. But let's try to look one more time, and I really can't because, unfortunately, let's see if it'll... Yeah, it's just not showing up. So we're just going to have to move past that. And, of course, we'll have another update this morning. But here it is. You know, this shows Illinois on your screen here. Peoria, 1 to 5 inches of snow. Chicago probably is more so, even though it doesn't show up, 1 to 4 inches of snow. Indianapolis, I heard about the dry slot yesterday, and I feel bad for you. This happens a lot. Sometimes certain areas just take forever to saturate. So I think Indianapolis definitely underachieved with yesterday's snowstorm. But let me know what you ended up seeing. Maybe that's not the case. But Indianapolis with this next wave of snow between now and about 7 p.m. Tuesday. 1 to 3 inches of snow on the way. Fort Wayne, 1 to 3. So I think most of the state of Indiana will end up getting snow. South Bend, 4 to 8. I think just about everybody could get at least a touch of accumulations on the ground. Now we started moving to Kentucky. Now this is when it gets weird. So northern areas of the state could get accumulating snow, anywhere from a trace to maybe as much as 3 inches of snow. You get up to Cincinnati, Ohio, maybe as much as 3 inches. Evansville, 0 to 1 inch. You know, we get into the northern areas of the state, like I said, a couple inches of snow is possible, but I do think some ice is possible in these areas too. I'm glad these graphics are pulling up. That's good. A few 100ths of an inch of ice is possible in the northern areas of Kentucky, especially the western areas. Paducah, you know, maybe as much as around 1/10 of an inch of ice. So we are definitely going to get some freezing rain, a little bit of sleet in this area. Let's just watch northern areas of Kentucky because some things could change. Ohio, just about the entire state is good for as much as 1 to 4 inches of snow of this system on the way. This is for between now and about 7 a.m. Wednesday. Still snowing in some of these areas right now, so this is probably adding to some of that. Okay, Pittsburgh, look at that, 1 to 4 inches of snow. Now let's drop it down south and work our way back into the northeast. This is predicted ice totals for the western areas and southwestern areas of North Carolina. And I know this map is kind of splotchy, and that is because this is just going to favor kind of cold air damming areas of the North Carolina mountains. And Boone, maybe over 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain. And that is getting close to significant icing. You know, right around kind of Mount Mitchell could get over 1/4 inch of freezing rain. So you got to watch out for this. A little bit of snow is possible. A little touch of snow you see here kind of just south of Boone. So, but we move up the road into Virginia. This is where significant icing could occur. And Roanoke could get some icing, even though technically you're not on the board here. But Blacksburg, over 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Same thing with Lewisburg, between 1/10 and 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Lynchburg, over 1/10 of an inch. So once you get sort of in this orange area between the yellow and the red, that's where over 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain could happen. The red is where over 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain could happen. And a little bit of snow is possible in these areas too. For example, in Lexington, going for 1/2 inch of snow. Charlottesville, 1/2 inch. So it's kind of aggressive in my opinion. So we could get some freezing rain mixed with some snow. And this area tends to overachieve with these kind of events. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some significant winter weather in these areas. I don't know if they're going to throw out winter storm warnings in this area, but some winter weather advisories outside of what's going on right now are likely going to be reissued across these areas. So West Virginia, snowshoe, about 1/2 inch to 4 inches of snow. So sort of a wide range. I think Western Maryland could certainly get a few inches of snow out of this. Charleston, I think that this could change depending on the low pressure track. So don't get too bummed out. I think we could get some winter weather, but they are definitely playing it safe with that. But it is hard to get winter weather in Charleston, West Virginia. You wouldn't think it is, but it is. You get warm-nosed a lot. But here's the freezing rain forecast for West Virginia. And then Taking a look at PA, and I know I did kind of skip over Maryland. I do apologize, but Middletown, kind of Delaware, a 0 to an inch. And Baltimore and DC, even though you don't show it, maybe a trace to as much as a half an inch to an inch of snow. Gettysburg, half an inch to 5 inches of snow. This corridor right here in eastern PA could get as much as a half a foot of snow. It just depends on where that band of snow sets up. And there could be a heavy one from Harrisburg up to Reading, Allentown, Hazleton, Scranton. Anywhere from a couple inches to maybe a half a foot of snow could happen. And then just across the whole entire rest of the state of PA could get a few to several inches of snow. Pittsburgh going for 1 to 4. So maybe this is your shot to get kind of a small scale snowstorm. We'll see if that happens. And then we take it over to the east. Now this shows more of DC and Baltimore. So here we go. Philadelphia, trace to an inch of snow. So hopefully y'all aren't yelling at me too much. It's always wild to read the comments sometimes and people saying, you always don't talk about this state or that state. And I'm like, dude, if you actually made your way through the timestamps, I covered that state. So I try not to miss anybody. Take a lot of pride in getting very detailed. But the northern areas of New Jersey, we just got to watch up here in the Poconos and the Catskills. Several inches of wet snow is likely. But you get closer to New York City and it's just close. It's tough sledding here, quite literally. The entire state of New York. Remember, there's snow falling right now across these areas. Between now and about 7 a.m. Wednesday. This is the snowfall forecast. Albany, an inch to maybe as much as 5 inches of snow. This area right here could increase. Syracuse, half an inch to 5 inches of snow. Buffalo, 1 to 4. All right. And then southern New England, this is a tough area. Boston could get half an inch or they could get 5 inches of snow. And I know this is a wide range. You're probably laughing your butt off right now. But this is a tricky forecast. And that's why I clicked the range, because I want you guys to understand that this is tough. The good old Worcester Hills. And I know everybody says it different. It's funny how much correction I get on this area right here. Some people say it's Worcester. It's Worcester. It's, Worcester. But I'm going to say Worcester Hills. This area right here could get several inches of snow. Some areas could get an inch. Some, and those, I think 1,000 feet will make a huge difference in these areas. I mean, even 500 feet. But over here in the Berkshires, you see this orange area? That's where over a half a foot of snow is possible. So a tough forecast. Hartford, half an inch to 4 inches of snow. So yeah, and then we move a little bit further north and you're closer to the Adirondacks. This is covering all of Vermont. Robin, you're going to get several inches of wet snow off this. She's a loyal follower here in Vermont. Appreciate you very much. Hope everything's going well and you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. But, you can see New Hampshire, Woodstock, maybe an inch, maybe 10. That's not a big help, but hey, it's what we're working with. And I'm telling you, this is where the system could get really amped up as far as the snowstorm part of it. Portland, are you going to get warm nose where you get all rain, or are you going to get all snow? If you get all snow, you could get close to a foot. Bangor, a half an inch to 9 inches of snow, and they're going to fine tune this range as we get closer, trust me. But the rest of Maine, just to round this off, this is what you're looking at here. And I do want to show some love to Atlantic Canada. We got the centimeters pulled up here, but if you switch it to inches, this is a good half inch to a foot snowstorm on the way for areas of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland. So this one could turn into an all-out blizzard. Some of these areas could get over a foot of snow. So we just got to watch it for you guys, especially Newfoundland, where this could turn out to be an all-out blizzard. So let's switch gears and speak on the next threat of winter weather. And this is, we're going to start in the southern plains and then we're going to make our way into the eastern U.S. Okay, this is another threat of winter weather starting to show up on model guidance. Okay, and it's going to be confusing because you're probably going to think that this is the one coming in right now, but it's not. This is the next one. We're in the Thursday. We got some winter weather in the latest Euro breaking out across the southern plains. A wintry mix in Oklahoma City, Norman, and then it really starts to blossom. All-out winter weather event in Oklahoma City points north. A little bit of snow up here in Missouri, even northern Arkansas, and this thing starts to really get going as we start to move into the eastern sections. Let's go on and switch gears. Here it goes. We're starting off Friday morning. Some winter weather moving in. Another winter weather event. I wasn't lying when I started off the intro saying multiple winter storms were on the way for December. Promise you I wasn't. We literally have multiple winter storms on the way. This is the new info. Look at this snow breaking out across the Piedmont, North Carolina, wintry mix. Look at this snow on the northern edge. It's all rain for the mid-south, and all this could change. Okay, but this is an all-out winter storm breaking out across the favored cold air damming regions of North Carolina and Virginia. Band of heavy snow up here in the Midwest once again. We continue to keep this moving. This is late Friday night. This coming Friday night, not 2 Fridays from now. This coming Friday night, the 5th into the 6th. Look at this ice storm ongoing in Virginia, West Virginia. Look at this big snowstorm starting to move into areas of the Ohio Valley, and you're getting warm nose with the cutting low pressure. I don't know if that's going to cut, though. I have my doubts. And this is as far out as we can go in the latest Euro. And honestly, this is as far out as we need to go. But it looks like a big winter storm's heading right towards the northeast again. We look at the GFS. Same thing. Starts off as a wintry mix. It's not as wintry further west, so I'm just going to show you guys the east. But this is getting into Friday morning. Look at the snow breaking out across areas in North Carolina. And this is much colder, much further south. I will tell you, if we end up getting a winter storm in these areas that you're seeing right here, the GFS sniffed it out first. It did. You got to tip your cap to the GFS. We diss on it all the time. But if this ends up happening, the GFS sniffed it out first because it was showing it a couple days ago. But this is an all-out winter storm breaking out across North Carolina, Virginia. This is for this Friday. Okay? And then we keep this moving. Overspreads the mid-Atlantic, nasty icy mix, kind of loses some steam, then gets amped up again. So there's some question marks with this. And this is the Canadian, of course. The Canadian's always very wintry, but it shows it another winter storm on the way. All freezing rain, though, with this. I have reason to believe that this is going to trend colder, guys. And, I'll explain that here in a second. This is the Euro ensemble, okay, for the snow footprint. Not for this midweek winter storm, the one moving in now, or in the next couple of days, but for this one later this week. And here it comes, the snow footprint from it. You can see there is another signal. This is in 24-hour periods for more snow across the Midwest, moving into the Mid-Atlantic. And there's even a signal for snow. and guys, we can actually look at we should be able to look at it's even further south. And this is only going to go 144 hours out. But look, it's even further south. That is a solid inch snowfall mean for the Mid-Atlantic. And this is as far out as we can go. And I just want to keep it here too, because I think Model Guides is going to trend colder with this. I really do. I'm not saying we're going to get an all-out winter storm and down to Charlotte to Columbia. I don't think so. But man, Charlotte, watch out. All right, but we got a solid signal. It's a pretty widespread signal for winter weather on the Euro ensemble. Okay? And one thing that I am watching here, and let's see if we can get some updated information. Let's see if we do. All right, let's back it up. Y'all just bear with me. I'm trying to get you guys fresh information. And sure enough, look, we even have a 6% chance, a percent chance to see 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain all the way down to Columbia now. So, and this only goes out 144 hours out. So this takes us all the way out into this coming Friday and the Saturday, and that is a signal for 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. And I think this will potentially increase. So there's an ice signal starting to show up in areas of the Carolinas, into Virginia, into the Mid-Atlantic. And the reason we're getting this is we got our cold air source right here, right? Okay? And as we continue, we got a cold air source right over areas of Atlantic Canada and the Northeast. This is going to anchor in a high pressure in this area right into here. At the same time, we got amped up flow moving in. So we got a low pressure riding at the base of this trough, moving in across this area right here. Cold air source is right here, driving in a cold high pressure into this. As energy, this lower pressure drives into that cold air source in a wedge of cold air. A better way to talk about that cold high pressure is this. And this is kind of confusing because the colors on this can be a little misleading. But this is just high pressure and low pressure. And just because you have high pressure doesn't mean it's going to be hot. It could be a cold high produced by just cold air. But you see this lower pressure in the blue? It's moving into this cold air damming, which is setting up just like this. This high right here pumping in a lot of cold air as this low pressure moves right into it. So there's a lot of cold air pumping to the surface while a lot of moisture is overriding that cold air at the surface. So that's being anchored in by this up here. Okay? A cold air source up into the Northeast and Atlantic Canada area, just Eastern Canada. It's your classic cold air damming look. So that's why if we go back and we look at this and we switch it to temperatures in the same time frame, you see how you have this well below average temperatures kind of anchored in? kind of east of the Appalachian Mountains. And then you look at actual temperatures. Look at the cold air kind of pivoting in all the way into the Carolinas. And there is just a lot. It's like a glacier to the north. That's another thing, is this could trend colder because we have snowpack to the north. I mean, honestly, it has all the ingredients to trend colder. It's just will it. You know, and one thing we continue to watch, guys, is just persistent troughing in the eastern U.S. So we go past next weekend, and you see the blue, that is lower pressure. And then this area right here, this is higher pressure, is just the upper pattern. And this blue and the greenish color, this is a trough. This is going to bring down cold air and the potential for energy to link up with it. So we continue to have this dip in the jet, pumping in cold air across the eastern U.S. with a ridge out west, and just kind of almost a connection to the Arctic with cold air dropping down. So, you know, we're getting 10 days out, and we continue to get a lot of cold air pumping into the eastern U.S. And in response to all that blue you saw on your screen, you're going to see more blue, but more green. This is below average temperatures. This is temperatures compared to average between December 1st and December the 11th. And you can see the central and eastern U.S. is well below average. So we're going to continue to be cold. And listen, all this is backed up by the MJO pattern. And if you look, and we do got a new upgrade here, an update. I always like to mix up the word upgrade with update. I guess it can kind of mean the same thing. Right now, we're in phase 7. Okay, we've been talking about this to death, right? We're in phase 7. Okay? It's November the 30th, right? So we're right here. And you see that one, that's December the 1st. So we're still going to be in phase 7. But it says that by the time we get into midway this coming week, we get fully into phase 8. And we've been talking about how phase 8, phase 1, and phase 2 are the colder, more wintry phases. Phase 6, phase 5, and phase 4 are the warm phases. We've moved out of that. Phase 7, phase 3 are kind of transitional phases. So we're making our way to phase 8. And check this out. We get into phase 8, and we stay in phase 8 for almost the rest of December. So that's why I continue to think, and it supports our idea and thinkings, that we are going to continue to see model adjustments to colder and more wintry scenarios. Now, there is some potential we can go back into phase 7. That would introduce some, warm air issues and risk. But man, check this thing out, just curling in phase 8. So, man, there's just so much to talk about. So much to go over, guys. And let's do a Bible study, because we need to fit in some Jesus with this, right? Whew. All right, so this morning we're in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32. And it says, patience is better than power, and controlling one's emotions than capturing a city. So I said, this is a great passage of speaking on having control over your emotions. A self-controlled person is more in tune with the Spirit than a powerful but impulsive person emotionally. Some of the biggest and most powerful people out there have so much control and power over things, but have no self-control over their own spirit. And, listen, I added some things here. I said, be patient, listen to people, have perspective, and practice discipline. Now, there's things, I can speak on myself. I always love to kind of become more personal with you guys and relate to you folks. And trust me, I struggle with things every single day. And one thing that I'm pretty good at is discipline. I think that I have a lot of great discipline, but one thing that I struggle a ton with is patience. I have lack of patience. I can get frustrated very quick. I don't lash out and scream and cuss people out or anything like that, but I do lack patience, and I can struggle having perspective sometimes. But the key is to continue to try to get better. Lean on God's presence and God's guidance, and it just goes back to everything we always say, guys. I think the more that you ask God to draw closer to you, the more you'll draw closer to Him, and the more dots that will connect, and everything that we discussed will become easier for you. It's always going to be difficult because we struggle against our own earthly desires, right? But yeah, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate the support lately. These videos are just very long, tough to get through, but we're going to continue to push through, and I'm very excited to continue to talk about winter weather. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll do it again tonight.